Hello Naked Turners, and welcome to another episode of The Naked Turner. Today I'm upgrading my circle cutting jig for my bandsaw, and I figured people might want to see how I'm doing that. And so what I'll do is I'll show you right now kind of how I made this. Alright, so I have a piece of melamine here that was a piece of scrap from a job, some cabinetry. And let me zoom in a little bit here so you can see a little better what I'm going to be talking about. Alright, I think that's pretty good. Oh. Okay. Something like that. Alright, so I took this piece here of melamine, and it happened to be a scrap that was about 25.5 by 20 3/8. Okay, so what I did first to it was took it to my table saw and I put my blade at a bevel of 30 degrees. I identified close to the center, pretty much right on the center of this, and then I made 2 marks and made a corresponding dovetail groove, and then just hollowed it out by doing multiple passes with my table saw, single blade, no dado stack, and then just chiseled out the corners to make them clean. Then what I did was took and milled a dovetail keyway, and that dovetail keyway is 3/8 of an inch thick, which is the depth of my slot, and then it's the same width as my slot, so that I have a not too snug, but snug enough to keep this piece in place. Alright, so it slides nicely in and out of that keyway. Okay, then the other thing I did is, it's pinching a little there. So the other thing I did was milled myself a piece of 5/16 thick by 3/4 of an inch wide spline that will run down the notch in my bandsaw tabletop. So then once I had that on, all I did was took it, put it in here in the slot. It fits snugly, but not too snugly. Then I turned on the bandsaw. I made a pass. So, and I stop it right there. I stop it right in the center. Right in the center of my dovetail slot. So then what I did, once I stop it right there, I know that I want to add 2 stop blocks here to the front of my table saw table, and I'll show you that in a minute. But anyway, then what I did was took and made a center line down this stick that's right in line with the front edge of the cutting teeth of my blade, not into the gullet, but right at the tip of the cutting edge of the blade. Then I put pre-drilled, and I pre-drilled and put a small nail here that I snipped off, so it's only sitting about 3/8 of an inch above the surface. And that slides nice and freely in and out. Now what I'm doing, I've made a cursor mark here on this piece of red stucco tape, and I will start laying out lines here in order to give myself specific measurements, and then I can just slide this to a specific measurement and put a screw. I'll be making a hole here for the screw. Then the nice thing about this one is I'll cut this spline down a little, and I can take and flip it around, and that increases my potential for larger circle capacity. I probably won't do too much bigger, but I may end up going out here to at least 2 inches of overhang here. So I'll cut this, or maybe even 4 inches of overhang out here. I'll cut this down to where I can have it sticking out this way and increase the potential for this circle cutting jig. Alright, so there you have it. The next thing I want to show you is that once I have it in this position, I'm going to take I'm going to take these two blocks of 3/4 inch stock and I'm going to attach them to the underside of this in order to provide positive stop locations for stopping the blade right here at that location every time. So I'll show you how that works. Okay, so here I am up underneath the table, and I've got a couple blocks here, and I'll show you what I'm going to do. So got some 1¼ inch screws. I have some holes pre-drilled, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to position these two blocks. Actually, maybe I only need one, it looks like. If I just put one block right here as my stop, right there, there. So that acts as a stop against the table, stopping me at the correct place. All right, now change camera. Okay, so now I'm taking here and laying out radius points of the circle. So first thing I'm going to do is line up my square here. I'm going to mark, so this one here will be 1 inch. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come off that 1 inch. I'm going to mark each inch. A screw hole somewhere around here, or actually maybe somewhere around here, and then I'll have another screw hole somewhere here to anchor me down inside, and I may even just do a pinhole for every one of these 1 inch locations. But there you have it. That's how this piece works. I have one more thing that I like to add to this, and I'll show you that in a second. Alright, so you can see my stop block here, and now what I'm doing is I'm adding this block, which is the same thickness as the bottom of my bandsaw table here. So then I'll be able to screw this on through the top and then put some flat bar under here, and that will keep this entire circle cutting jig from being able to flip off of my bandsaw table. It will act as a safety in case I have anything heavy on there. The circle cutting jig will not want to lift off of my table, and I'll show you that process. Alright, so when I'm mounting this, I'm mounting it so that it has a tiny bit of space between it and the table, and that way I'm not pinching on that table. I don't want to create any additional friction. Doing a little pre-drill here, and now coming in with an 1¼ inch screw. Okay, moving back to the next two, one right here. And one more. Alright, there we go. Now, I'm going to be taking a couple of these little flat Simpson clips, A21s, and I'll be snipping these off right here and then screwing them down using the existing holes, and that will act as a little flat plate on the bottom, helping to secure the unit so that it can't flip off. And it's a real nice feature to have because it makes you feel a lot more secure. You're not having to hold your circle cutting jig when you pull it out like this, where it will want to actually, here, let's turn, so if you pull it out like this, it would want to, once you get out a certain distance, it would want to start flipping off of the table. But once I put these on, it will not do that. So anyway, let me get going about cutting these down and then mounting them to the table, and I'll show you that process. Okay, so now I have my tin cutting snips here, and I'm going to cut off this 90-degree portion, making it just a piece of flat plate. And this is the one I was using on my old one, but I'm doing a slightly different design now. So then what I'll do is I'll knock off these corners ever so slightly, getting rid of the sharp edge, rounding them over a hair, just like that. Now it's gotten rid of any sharp edge there. Then I'll take and pound this out to flatten it a little bit. Let's do the other one. Same thing, come in here close to the 90 and whoops, and snip it off. There we go. Okay, same thing, nip the corners. Okay, getting rid of all the sharp edges. Alright, there we go. Now I'll take my hammer, like I said, and flatten this out a little. Then I'll show you putting them on the underside of the table. Okay, so there's the table at its stopped position. I'm now pulling it back until it's back fairly far here, and then I'm going to add these clips on. I'll put one right here to engage with the table, like that, and then I'll put one all the way on the back end. Alright, so I'm going to make a mark now, and I'll make a mark where I want this one to go, which will be probably right around here, and then so yeah, right around there, and then the last one will be all the way on the back end. So I'll slide the table out now and then apply these. Okay, so now I'll be taking and applying these. First one, go right like this, right here. It doesn't need to overhang very much. Right there. So just screw that. Okay, so now if you look up under here, you'll see that those are engaging with the edge of the table, which makes it so that this piece will not lift off. It's grabbing it and holding it in place like that. So hopefully that gives you guys some good ideas for how to make a circle cutting jig. And now I'll try to find a piece here so that we can give it a test, and I'll show you how it works. Okay, alright, so I have a piece here that's 5.5 inches. 5.5 inches across. So I just made a mark here at 5.5 inches. I'm now drawing a line right there. This is a piece of oak I've had for a long time from a project. Okay, so now I'm going to try to drill a center hole here with this broken drill bit. Okay, so now I know that I have a 5.5 inch piece of wood, so half of 5.5 is 2 3/4. There's my 2 3/4 inch mark. My line is lining up with 2 3/4. Then what I'll do is take through this pre-drilled hole with a countersink in it, and mount a short screw. And there we go. It's as simple as that. Now, all I have to do is back my table saw track up. We'll zoom out a little bit here so you can see better. So I just backed up here. I'll take and drop my pin into my pre-drilled hole, and there goes my mark, and I can see I'm lining up with my cut, so that's a good sign. Now, all you have to do is sort of diamond this, turn it at a 45-degree angle here, and then what we'll do is come in under the blade until we hit the stop block. There you go. Then you back it out, turn it on. You got a really nice bowl blank cut. There it is. All right. So I hope this helps you guys. This is a really nice jig to have. It's extremely versatile. You can use it for all kinds of cuts. You can put a fence back here as well and use it for making square cuts or angled cuts or whatever you want. So there you go. Finished circle cutting jig upgrade. This is a nice upgrade to my circle cutter. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to round these corners off out here and out there, and probably back here and over here as well. I'll just round those off, just so I don't have any sharp corners to run into in my small shop. But like I said, I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching, and hopefully it'll inspire you to make your own circle cutting jig.